Now, I'd like to hear what you all think of this. An American school district has decided to reinstate corporal punishment in its classrooms. It means that students can now be punished by spanking with a paddle. The change came after a survey was sent to parents last year, and they revealed they wanted additional discipline. I got the belt once, I remember. Did you ever get...
I got the cane.
Oh, you got the cane.
I got the cane when I was
about...
It was in junior school, so I was about 9, 10 years old. And I was in class and this young boy started picking on me and he wasn't very nice. I've spoken about it before, but he was basically picking on me because I was an orphan and making fun of me because I didn't have any parents. And that got me quite emotionally upset. Oh. So I got a bit hysterical, but I got sent to the headmasters for disruption. And I came out with the cane. He hit me on my bum twice with the cane, and it really hurt. But I remember I was so scared that I got the cane that I didn't even tell my family when I got home that I got the cane because I didn't want to get into trouble for getting into trouble.
Yeah, I know.
So I kept that to myself. But it hurt, but I learnt it was a deterrent not to do anything to misbehave after that, and that was the first and the last time I got the cane.
That's a harsh example, isn't it, though, because you were obviously emotionally traumatised.
Yeah, but the headmaster, he wasn't interested.
No.
Or if a teacher says, I saw her going doing this, then that's it.
So, on reflection, what do you think? I mean, you know, I think America banned corporal punishment in schools about 20 years ago. For us, it was like 30 or more years ago. So we should be bringing it back? I
didn't think... When I got the cane, it was not justified. And I think that you've got a lot of teachers, you know, that, as we know, they can't discipline the children in the same way that they used to do. And so you'll have a teacher that's trying to teach a class and there's a child that's being disruptive in whatever way, and that teacher can't do anything to stop them encouraging the rest of the class to misbehave. So there has to be some sort of measure. It's not, you know...
But it's like we look back and think, you know, everything was great when we had the cane or the bell or corporal punishment, and so therefore that's what we need to return to, and that's what I just don't get, because that is just such a sort of...
It's difficult in a world where we're sort of bringing up our children to not use violence. So, you know, I never had the cane, never had the paddle. I did get rapped on my knuckles with a ruler, and I did get dragged out the class by me ear, and obviously I've turned out completely normal.
What was the phrase you attached? That come with me, Sonny Jim.
Come with me, Sonny Jim. Yeah, well, because I used to look like a boy, because I've always had short hair anyway. But the point being is that I agree with Brenda in terms of the fact that the teachers don't know where to go, a lot of them, that I have spoken to, I'm not speaking for all teachers, because they have no powers of discipline. Kids have no boundaries.
But there's different ways of disciplining, isn't there?
There are.
I mean, Nadia, you're keeping very quiet
I am welcoming a return to more discipline, because the teachers can't even comfort, you know?
I couldn't be more horrified than this, a paddle. For me, it's just violence, and I think, as you say, if you're trying to teach your children not to be violent and to regulate their feelings, if an adult then hits you, that, to me, gives a signal that they are not regulating their feelings. I think it's tragic. You know, that story from Brenda could make me cry, because there's a child who's acting out from the pain of what's going on to them, and she gets hit with a cane, and that's why it doesn't work for me, physical discipline. I think what was more different when we were kids, I mean, I went to a primary school where you used to, if you were late, you'd have to stand under the clock, and then however many minutes you were late, the headmaster had a rack of different sized canes, and then the person would be caned the amount of minutes at lunch break under the clock for everyone to see.
That's intimidation, isn't it?
I mean, that's obscene. I think that's obscene.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's very difficult to regulate. Once you give somebody the power to hit somebody else, how do you watch it? But I do think what's different was, probably more so when we were all kids, was that if your teacher told you off, your mum would agree with the teacher.
Yeah, that's what they should be.
My friends who are a teacher, and my sister who's been a teacher in various different schools, so often the parents
come up to the school saying, don't you dare.
If you try and say anything to their child, they'll go completely nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, I absolutely think you need discipline, because children need boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, adults need boundaries, I think, but children do need boundaries. But it's what we automatically go back to discipline equals hitting. And I agree with you, Nadia. I mean, I think it's utterly appalling. In Scotland, it's now illegal. I don't think they've gone through with that.
There's got to be a halfway house, though, with the way that we've just let this woke world take over.
But we've got to have a much more intelligent view of what discipline discipline is. Well, for instance, here's a different... This is a teacher in the UK, and he was branded oppressive by Ofsted, and he is part of a movement to reinstate what he calls adult authority in schools. So sit up, listen, ask and answer questions, never interrupt, track the teacher or look at them when they talk, say sir, say miss, speak in sentences, be polite, etc., and treat adults with the same courtesy that teachers deliberately demonstrate to pupils.
Yeah, it's fundamental.
What's wrong with that?
That's good, isn't it?
Well, he was apparently described as oppressive.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Now, we don't know how exactly that was executed, but the principles of that, as a parent, I would have no problem with, you know, and if the school phoned me up and said that, you know, one of my kids had been cheeky or, you know...
Teachers shouldn't be scared of pupils, and that is what often happens these
often when
days.
children are violent
but
in
also
the school, there's
parents...
chaos going on for them at home.
Yeah.
So to give them clear boundaries that are safe and kind but firm is actually good for them.
Yeah.
And is actually helpful eventually to
Kids
society.
do respond to boundaries.
Well, here's a comment with time, but Mansfield, who's got in touch, I agree with you, Mansfield, you've summed it up for me. It's the parents that need to step up and teach the children to be respectful. Teachers have it hard, they're just not teachers anymore. But you can't talk about teachers and pupils without talking about the parents, without talking about the home environment, and without talking about the kind of broader issues that might be
They've got to work together more, haven't they?
Absolutely. And that's what we had at the kids' school. There was a contract that you signed with the school to say that you will be there to support, and if there's anything, give them the support. And that's what they need. You can't have that one doing that and that one doing that and not coming together.
Yeah.